ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to grammar class. We are embarking upon a brand new adventure. I want you to be aware because you are going to have already used this, but you don't know the official name yet. You've been using these and confusing these a little bit because you've thought it was an adverb, it was a couple of words, and now I'm going to tell you about prepositional phrases, and we're going to use them and analyze them, and we're going to go nice and slowly, so stay with me. We're going to be doing this together every day for a while until we get good at it. Our goal is to identify, or our goal is identifying prepositions, their objects, and what they modify. Well, that sounds really hard. I want you to imagine an apple tree. If you see an apple tree in your mind's eye, you look at it, and you're imagining this gorgeous tree with these big juicy apples at the end of them. Imagine that as a sentence. Okay, the trunk of your tree or your principal elements, your subject and your verb, and they go out through the limbs of the tree, and then there's a connector piece to that apple. That apple does not stay on that tree without that little stem that connects that apple. An apple is a noun, so we'll say it connects that noun to the rest of the tree. Well, that little connector piece, the stem, is a preposition. Prepositions connect parts of the sentence together. If you were to remove that little stem, ladies and gentlemen, would the apple fall off the tree? Yes, it would, very clearly. And so you have to have the preposition, the connector piece, to connect that apple, that noun, to the rest of the sentence. We're going to practice that, all right? If you think of a preposition holding its little arms out like this, it's going to grab one part of the sentence, usually the verb, and it's going to connect it to another noun, and it's going to hold them together so that the tree can continue to bear fruit all the way to the end of the sentence. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of this. You have just listened to some new jingles, and I hope you listen to them every day so that you can start to memorize those prepositions in the list. There are a lot of them, but the more you can be regularly reviewing those, the quicker you will memorize them, and then you'll be able to use them and identify them right off the bat. Prepositions this time, I want to talk to you about the word preposition. Let's go Latin here a little bit. Don't tell your older siblings that you're talking about Latin. Preposition comes from the word praeponere, which means, ponere means to put, and praere means before. So preposition literally means to put before. You're going to put your preposition before the noun that it's stuck to, all right? Before that apple at the end of the stem, all right? When we talk about prepositions in this unit, we're going to talk about prepositions that connect to nouns, and that whole phrase is being used to describe something that applies to a relationship with the verb. Let me give you an example. You write on a piece of paper. Well, where do you write? On a piece of paper. Well, there's your prepositional phrase. Let me make an example here. We're going to only talk about adverbial phrases. These are prepositional phrases that are only used as adverbs. They're always going to modify the verb for second grade. Later on, you'll get into different kinds. Our adverb questions, ladies and gentlemen, are, say them with me, when, where. Okay? So if those are our adverb questions, those are also our adverbial phrase questions. Here's what I mean. If you were to have this sentence, Mom put the apple pie on the table. Let me write that down for you. Mom put the apple pie on the table. Okay? Yum, first of all. Mom put the apple pie where? Well, she put the apple pie on the table. That tells us where, doesn't it? That's where she put it, on the table. Well, within that telling us of where, we have three words. We have a stem for our apple. We have our preposition right here, and it's connecting us to this table, this noun. This is our object of the preposition. We'll get into this later on, but I wanted to show you that You have to have this piece to connect to this. If you chop off the stem, here's your test, the sentence falls apart. The apple plunges to its death onto the ground. Watch this. Let's just say, well, I don't know what on is. So I'm going to just try to take it out with my eraser and see what happens. Okay, so we have our regular sentence here. We're not sure what's going on. So I'm just going to take it out. Ready? Take your eraser out with your hand. Mom put the apple pie. I'm going to take that out. If the sentence still works, then I didn't just clip the apple from the tree. Mom put the apple pie the table. Oh, that doesn't work at all. So it must be a prepositional phrase. This must be a preposition because if I take it out, it doesn't make sense. You have to have that connector piece. If you lose the connector piece, the sentence falls apart. Put the connector piece back in, you have a preposition. All right, so we got where. Mom put the apple pie on the table. Well, what happens if we ask a different question? Let me get my eraser here. What if our question is, we ate dessert? Oh, I'm thinking of Mr. Lawrence. Aren't you with all this dessert stuff? We ate dessert. What did you have for dessert? Really? Ooh, that sounds good. We ate dessert with delight. Ooh, I always eat dessert with delight, especially if it has chocolate in it. Or cherry pie, as you know now from Mr. Lawrence. I like that too. We ate dessert with delight. Well, we ate dessert how? Oh, well, we ate dessert with delight. This tells us how, right? How we ate it with delight. But I have two words there. Adverbs are only one word, but adverbial prepositional phrases are more than one word. If this were to be a preposition and we took it out, like we chopped the apple off the tree, would it fall down? Let's find out. We ate dessert delight. That doesn't work, which means it's a preposition, a prepositional phrase, because it fell apart when we took it out. Now we know with delight is a prepositional phrase. This is our preposition. We can ask with what? With delight. This is our object of the preposition. We'll get into that object of the preposition here in just a minute. But do you see how it's answering the question? How we ate dessert. Well, let's try another relationship. If it's not how and it's not where, let's try when. Let's do another one. They're so fun. Ooh, let's do a different color. It's fun to have different colors. Let's see. Can you tell I'm hungry? We snacked. Okay, raise your hand if you like to snack. Yeah. What do you like to snack on? Oh, me too. Unless you said worms. Those of you that said worms, I don't like to snack on those. We snacked during, can I go all the way out here? Am I going to run out of space? The movie. How many of you like to snack during the movie? Popcorn? Candies? Delicious. We should go to the movies together. All right, here we go. We can't right now. Another time perhaps. We snacked during the movie. During. Now, I don't know what that is. So I'm just going to cut it out of my sentence and see what happens. We snacked the movie. Oh, that would be a very untasty snack. So I can't lose my preposition because my sentence falls apart if I take it away. So we know now that's a preposition. During the movie, we snacked when? Oh, during the movie. That's when it was. During the movie is our prepositional phrase. It's telling us when we snacked. How cool is that? You already used these in your spelling sentence. Everyone in this class has used these several times. And you've noticed that it's answering the question when, and now we get to play with it in sentences. There's a new thing to know about prepositions. Prepositions always and forever, no exception, always, 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 always. How often? Always. Have a noun after them. It's always going to be a preposition plus a noun or a pronoun. Always, always, always. You are never going to say, we snacked during. It doesn't make any sense. I traveled to. You have to finish the falling apple. You're holding on to something with that preposition. You have to hold on to a noun at the end of it. So we snacked during what? During the movie. You're going to always see a noun at the end of your preposition. So we are going to get to try to go to page 65 in your grammar workbook with me, please. I'll give you a moment to do that while I erase these lovely things on the board. Page 65. We're going to add another level to our analysis here. I'm going to give you the same sentence up here. You're looking on page 65. Winston, our famous third grader who's in our sentences a lot, paddled, ooh, that's a fun thing to do, to the island. You see that sentence there on page 65. We're going to talk about a new order. Ooh, don't go Star Warsy on me, but a new order of analyzing sentences. Take everything that you did before today, and that's going to go later. We're going to put our new thing at the very first. Prepositional phrases are going to be analyzed first in a sentence from now on. So we have a new number one thing to do, and then we'll go to our old things that we used to do later. I'm not going to tell you about the second thing in this chant. They are called clauses. You'll learn those later. But I'm going to tell you the order in which you will be analyzing sentences, and you will see it on page 65. Our new order is phrases, clauses, principal elements, and modifiers. Now you know what principal elements are. Principal elements are the main two parts. They're the subject and the predicate. You know what the modifiers are, adjectives and adverbs. The first thing we do is phrases. You can do this with your hands. Do this. Phrases. That means you're going to put these little prepositional phrase marks around every prepositional phrase. So we're going to say phrases. We're going to put our fingers up like this for clauses because we haven't learned it yet. Clauses. And then we're going to go principal elements and modifiers. We've done those before. All right, let's do it one more time. Our order of analysis is phrases, clauses, principal elements, and modifiers. Again, phrases, clauses, principal elements, and modifiers. Last time, phrases, clauses, principal elements, and modifiers. Nice job. Well done. So let's get one of these. First thing we're going to do, and you can follow along in your book or you can follow me. If you forget later on, you can always look back in your book. This information is there. First, we read the sentence out loud. Begin. Read it out loud with me. Really, really bother your family and read it out loud. Ready, go. Winston paddled to the island. This is a sentence. Oh, but that's what we used to say. We have a new number one thing. Let's start again. We're going to do our chant right after we read our sentence. Winston paddled to the island. The order of analysis is phrases, clauses, principal elements, and modifiers. That tells us what we're going to do first. So are there any prepositional phrases? Yes, ma'am. Are there any prepositional phrases? You say, yes, ma'am. To the island is a prepositional phrase. I want you to notice that we're going to do this when we say it's a prepositional phrase, because in our chant we do this with our fingers. So, to the island is a prepositional phrase. To is the preposition. Ooh, we put a P under it for preposition. We're going to check to make sure right here. Chop off that and make sure you're right. Winston paddled the island. fell apart, so we know it's a preposition. All right, so to is the preposition. Island is the object of the preposition. So we're going to put O-P. To what? To the island. This is your little stem. This is your apple hanging onto the end. To what? To island. Object of the preposition. The is an which island? The island. Adjective. Which one? What kind? How many? Now that we have labeled just the phrase, we've done this. We don't have any of these because we haven't learned them yet. Those are clauses. Now we have to go to our principal elements and modifiers. So now we read the sentence again and do what we used to do in class all the time. Winston paddled to the island. This is a sentence and it is declarative. This sentence is about Winston. So Winston is the subject. This sentence tells us that Winston paddled. So paddled is the predicate. It is the predicate verb because it shows action. There are no linking verbs because predicate verbs do not use linking verbs. Now we have a new thing. Paddled where? To the island. Tells us where Winston paddled. So to the island is an adverbial element that modifies the verb. Bum, bum, bum. That's brand new. Notice how I took the preposition, the very beginning of the preposition, and this whole thing is getting pulled over to modify paddle to tell us where he paddled. He paddled to the island, and that whole thing goes over here to paddled. Wow, look at that, and you are doing it. That is pretty exciting. Oh, have you ever seen such a thing?